All right, so today basically there are some people that specifically requested for a session like this. Well, I'm trying to be sure that they are active just to be fair to them. So I'm trying to get Sahid's response, and I don't think I can quite get it. Alpha, just speak, Ibrahim. I think someone raised his hand. Uh, all right, time is already against us, so I think we'll just start. Said, you finally replied. Okay, because Said particularly wanted to learn something from a particular event that happened over the weekend. The only person that isn't here is TC. TC also requested for something like this, but he isn't here, so hopefully he watches the recording. Um, okay. Today would involve a little um tabs. All right, can you watch my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
All right. So today's rules, I mean, slight modification. Mm, at least for today, we can all speak freely. We are basically here to talk. We're not doing anything much, but at the same time, we're going to learn. So let's ensure we have our notes and everything. Uh, okay, that's out of the way. Something happened over the weekend, right? So last week we talked about forward kinematics, transformation matrix, and all of that. And coincidentally, immediately after the class last week, some hours after, I got a I got a real life job about kinematics. But I want to take you guys through it. I want to the reason why I'm taking you guys through it is so you actually see how things actually apply in the real world for those of us that are like really super interested about having a career and how it basically shakes out. Okay, so kinematics. We know that we talked about 2D kinematics, 3D kinematics. All those are basic things. Even as complicated as you think it is, most of those kind of kinematics is already fully solved. So it's just for you to learn. There are some more complicated kind of things. Tendon drives, for example. The reason why, for um your robot arm, you basically need the motor at the joints to be able to like make that turn. Again, you basically need all these joints that actually turn is because there are motors directly at the joints. It's a bit messy, but and if you want to model a human hand or a palm, you don't have enough room for motors everywhere. I mean, there are very, very tiny motors now that are good and they still function pretty well, but innovation makes it easier to like think of another way to do kinematics or to control the hands. Also, there's what is called bio-inspired robotics. This is the kind of robotics where we acknowledge that God's design, the Almighty's design, regardless of religion, but we have that, okay, our creator has a superior design, and instead of designing things in a conventional engineering way, we design it as the way our creator designed it. So if you notice, your hands only move because of your forearm. As a matter of fact, that's how you would squeeze your forearm and your whole hands will coil. So in this place, you see that that's what they try to do. You see these lines, they are the tendons. And depending on how these tendons draw down, the fingers open and close. So basically, I sent some pictures in the WhatsApp group that I really encourage you guys to watch, because playing the video on playing the video here will not be so nice. I mean, you can try. You can try. Um, yeah. Okay. So I don't think I can share
It
this
is
tab.
nice when we start coming back to life.
So you basically see that there are some motors that are like pulling the tendons, just like the human hand. Share this too.
I just love that.
So the motors are not directly at the joints or at the fingers. Right. The motors are not at the fingers that want them to move. The motors are actually here, and it's using tendons to pull it. That's basically what tendon driven is. What you might suddenly think of is, you know that it is easier when you know that this motor controls this joint. But for tendons, one motor might control like the whole finger. So just try and follow up. I'm not saying you should learn this, but try and understand that this is a possibility in robotics. Okay. Um Now the next slide. So what really happened? What was the goal of this real life project? They want to, it's like one of the frontiers in robotics, where they try to like it's like cognitive robotics. We want to be able to use our brain to control the robotic arm. I don't know if you guys must have seen a couple of videos where, yes, like the video where that man I sent on the group some weeks back, where they gave him a hand and he had some things on his head and he could control the hand to smoke. Yes, that is where you try to use your brain to control a hand that isn't part of your body. I don't know if people are following. It sounds a bit like science fiction, but it's all cognitive robotics and it's all possible to some extent. So what they want to do is, the aim is to replace the glove inputs with direct brain. So your brain can control the glove even though it's not connected to your body. Now the neural activity is captured by EEG, EMG, or implanted electrodes. This is like on the neuro side of things. If you've seen, there's this net they give you, and then it has some wires, and it's used to read brain signals. You can just read about it on your free time. And then we use some form of machine learning, usually LSTM. So there are different machine learning algorithms that try to understand these brain signals, because the idea is, for each command you give your body, there is a distinct signal. So the command to like raise your hand, to clench your fist, these are all different commands that your brain is giving your body. And the assumption is there is a way we can properly read brain signals to be able to replicate such. Now, this part isn't robotics. This part is on neurodata. It's on neuroscience, neurology. They try to figure that out. What happens is it's a combination of two different fields. So they tell us this is what these signals mean, and we take these signals and work with them. Now, these joints, when your brain is like, joint angle is like the angles of your, let's take your finger as one link, or like three links, because there's 1, 2, and 3. Like this probably like a joint angle. So think of joint angle as how your fingers bend around and fold. So what they want to do is they want to be able to use the third line. What that machine learning decoder means is from your brain, the brain signals, you'll be able to get how to turn the hand or clench your fist, whichever. Now, the joint angles, remember, we're not using, it's not like the motor is on the finger where I can say send 30 degrees to my pinky finger at joint 2. So my pinky is this, joint 2 would be this one. So maybe they send 30 to move like this. No, it's not like that, because the motors are not directly on the fingers. So you have to find a way to relate the motors that are on the forearm or in the palm to the fingers. So you have 10 fingers, and your 10 fingers can move in 30 independent ways. Roughly 30, the thumb having an extra degree of freedom. So 31, roughly. So you need to find a way to be able to control it. All this is, I'm not saying learn this though, but this is something that happened over the weekend. Okay, the whole idea is to use your brain to control the gloves, but they decided to take another approach. We know that there's the brain part, there is the signal part, there is the machine learning part, and there is the part that is responsible for the actual hand movements. The brain part is completely neurology side or neuroscience. The signal part is, neuro and signal processing. The machine learning, anybody can do machine learning if you properly learn it. So we don't need a special expert for that. A robotics guy can pick up AI, a neuro can pick up AI, but either way, there's a machine learning part. And the last part on the robotic arm is purely robotics. So on the team, there are like a ton of people with different experience, because this combines different fields together. That's basically what these things are. All right. Hopefully, I have painted a rough picture on what is going on. So, what exactly do they want per se? What exactly do they want? Now, what they want is the robotic side. And from what I've explained, the robotic side is majorly in number 4, the fourth point. That's why I also highlighted it as green. These motor joints, we need to find a way to know how to turn the motors to give particular outputs on the hands. Are you guys still following up until now, or it's a bit, I didn't break it down properly? Okay. Now, forget about everything I've said, because that is the big idea, right? Even I did not know about this big idea initially, because this is not what they presented to me. They only present the part that concerns you. I discovered this later on. So forget about the big idea. What they came to me was, in order to be sure that that robotic hand works, they have to build the robotic arm and then have a software on the robotic arm. And what they said was, we want to use the brain, the human brain, to control the arm. But if we cannot control it with like computers, then we can't be sure that it works properly for us to use a brain, a human brain, to control it. So they said, okay, let's do this. Is within themselves before they met me, actually. So we can use a computer, it can work in simulation, but they wanted to take it a step further. You guys must have seen this kind of a video where somebody wears a glove and then he makes some gestures, and then you maybe see a human hand like copying that gesture. It can be, I think, say they do it with OpenCV. It has a name. It's called teleoperation. That's its name. So what they do is, you can do a low budget one, right? With like 100 euros or so, like roughly. Sorry, 100 euros is like 180k roughly. So you would get your flex sensors. Please, can I get a quick recap? Lotofo, where did you get lost? And now, because of you, Gongon, I did explain. Where did you get lost, side?
Like 5 minutes ago, I've been go pray, no verse away.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Also, side raised this, and I think the next one would have to consider that they said a lot of it clashed with prayer time and all that. So I apologize. Okay, so yeah, so you haven't missed much. The whole idea is they have a robotic arm and they want to use the brain to control it. Like that video I sent where they put the arm, the guy doesn't have a hand, then they put a hand on him, like God gives him a second chance, and then he can somehow use his head to control the arm. That's like a plus. So that's what they are trying to do. Although that video was on the internet too, I don't know the idea behind the video. I mean, since nowadays you see anything in videos, but that is what they are trying to do, just to give you an idea. So I haven't done anything, I haven't said anything so far. All I've said is there are like 5 bullet points on the screen. The first one is completely neurological, that is signals from the brain to the glove. The second one, they need to capture the signals, EEG, EMG, all those kind of things. EEG is like that cap where you wear and they read brain signals. The third one is to process that brain signals. They usually use an LSTM decoder rather, different algorithms. There are people that specialize in tweaking that to get the pure signals, right? Good. And now, what do we need this encoder? What happens is brain signals comes into the model, the machine learning model. What comes out is maybe twist the hand. That's basically what we want to get, or maybe I bend the hand, whatever. Now, the real problem is, or the problem for we, the robotics guys, let's assume other field can solve their problem. Ours is, if they say twist the hand, remember, I would have used the word, but probably you guys can read about that word after the call, because there are like a lot of technical terms involved. Under actuated, they always call under actuated robotics. There is a link I can send to that course, but like that's like I can say some of the fairly advanced things. So what happens is, remember I said the motor is not on the palm. Usually, if you want a link to move, you put the motor there so that it can move. But because your fingers are like, there's limited space on the fingers, but there's a lot of space here. You can just put the motors here and use ropes or tendons. So if the motor turns, as one motor is turning, your hand is coiling. As the motor unwinds, the hand turns back. But you would quickly realize that there are 3 joints in your fingers. And if one motor controls 3 joints, that's under actuation. That's like a problem in robotics. So long story short, ours is to figure out how to solve that problem. Good. So I'm assuming you're all caught up now. So what really happened? Great. So again, forget about all the things I've said. We're not talking about the big idea now. We're talking about what concerns us, how I got involved in the problem. So they sent an invitation, because for those that don't know how Upwork works, if a job comes out, usually you apply for the job, but the person posting the job can choose to pick you and say, hey, come and apply. So it happens like when they post the job, Upwork recommends some guys for them, and then they just pick from those guys. So that's usually how it happens most times. So I got invited. They're like, hey, come and apply for this job. And like, I cool, bet. So what the job description said was, they have a glove, which is all these teleoperational gloves. You can make one using a flex sensor, 5 flex sensors, and an ESP. Basically, what the glove do is the glove bends. If you bend your hand, like your actual hand, if you bend your actual hand in the gloves would record the motion of your hands, just like mocap for anybody that have heard it or have not heard it. So if your hands are completely straight, the gloves will be streaming 180 for most of the joints. And then say I now bend like one finger down, while other parts, the gloves will be streaming 180. But for this particular joint, this particular one that is bent, the gloves will stream 90. So basically, the gloves have like, they're like 38 different angles the gloves can stream. Long story short, the glove just takes reading from the hand to your laptop or to a server or to wherever. And what they want to do is, from that glove, they want to be able to control the robot arm. The whole understanding is, if they can perfectly control the robot arm from that glove, then they can incorporate the robot arm with the main big idea, which is the brain stuff. But as simple as this sounds, it's extremely complicated, because this is not a project for fun. This is a project where they are aiming to be precise. So, what happened? I have some screenshots where I have blocked out things that might not be so nice to share, like names and every other thing. Now, basically, they were like, hello, I would invite you to look at the job I posted. I've explained the job to you guys. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm very interested in the project. It involves teleoperation of a robotic hand. Now, this was what they told me. And what they wanted was I should use ROS to do it. I was going to use ROS, and there's like an SDK for the gloves. As you can see, this is like Meta gloves. I'll show you something about Meta, but let's keep that aside for now. So what I wanted to get was real-time robotic teleoperation. So in the last class, I showed you guys what real-time in ROS kind of looks like. So that's exactly the thing. So if you can like have an idea, your gloves, there's going to be like a couple of nodes that will be publishing angles from your palm, and then there's going to be subscriber on the gloves that will be subscribing, just like a rough understanding. So that's the idea. And there's a funny thing that happens on Upwork. This was immediately after our class, right? The time is, I think it's 7:39 for me. because like I'm an hour or so ahead. I can't really remember which day this was exactly. This was either Saturday or so. So something about Upwork is there are, and this is like something you need to learn if you want to ever venture on Upwork. There are a lot of people. Like there are a lot of people on Upwork. So most recruiters or most employers, if they message you and you don't reply instantly, before you come back and reply, another guy must have replied. So if you notice, he messaged me at 7:39. I have my notifications for Upwork. Like if you ever want to get the fastest reply, it's LinkedIn and Upwork for me. So I have my I reply exactly on the spot. Because like I'm on my PC, I get notification, I click, I read, I just type something real quick. Right. So another thing they do is interview on the spot. So usually companies you apply, they send you mail, they be like, okay, we can schedule your interview for so and so day, right? And that gives you time to prepare, but it's rarely the case when in a competitive market like this. So they're like, okay, we'll be ready for an interview in like 20 to 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm always active. Like I'm usually very, very casual on Upwork, like very natural, like the way I am. So it was like, okay, we had the call. And something happened. Remember, I said what they wanted was some kind of ROS integration. Let me explain something. You have the hand, the robotic arm. Remember, they made the robotic arm themselves. They didn't buy it, right? There is no now. There's what is called like a description of like in robotics. Description is all the things that physically describes the robot in software. So you can do exactly anything you need because you have the exact robot in your PC. So it's a completely new robot, meaning everything, and I mean everything, have to be done like brand new. When I mean the kinematics, the dynamics, like everything has to be done like it's new. And I'll come to that. Like you just see something a bit. So later on, after the call, that interview was completely Rust based. And how will I approach it? I know they're trying to pick your brain. After the call, they are now telling me that the biggest holdup is getting the teleportation is actually deriving the equations. Now, if you remember, if I take you guys back a bit, people go on Udemy and they just learn how to apply ROS, how to apply different things. But the moment you work on a completely new system, you would quickly realize that all these codes simply implement equations, simply implement systems that has already been made. So now, that's the dilemma where they find themselves. They have created a new robotic arm. And basically, the control for that robotic arm, when I mean control, basically control is as it sounds, how to control it, whether the teleoperation or whatever. But the control for that robotic arm is not anywhere because they were the ones that designed it from scratch. So what they have been doing, they've been using approximations of the equations. What approximation means, they try to find something quick online and find a way to like write the code about it. I'm trying not to go too deep, but basically my first question to them was, I thought you already have the equations sorted out. Because how do you even go that far? How do you go that far without having the model or like the mathematical model of the robot in your code? And they said it's just approximation. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was when I realized that okay, these guys actually need the mathematics. So I was like, okay, so now the part is like that part is more theoretical and analytical approach than implementation. Or this is just me trying to sound smart. I'm just trying to say, oh, so it's just maths that you people need. And then at 2 a.m. Now, the initial contact they made with me was 7. If you are following, was 7, and we're on the interview for like 2 hours, and either ways we're talking constantly till 2 a.m. like non-stop. And at 2 a.m. now, I said, okay, so what they basically need is the maths. Now, I don't know if you people can see what happens when you skip the maths. You've created something new, which basically is what innovation is, right? At least in core robotics, because if you are innovating in IIoT or IoT, Internet of Things, you you don't really have to do so much maths like that. But let's call it spade and a shovel. A shovel, we're in core robotics. They've innovated, but they've skipped maths. So basically, they basically had the concept, which was the big idea I showed, but they jumped the maths and they went straight to code and application. And they sent me a video, and that video was poor because they were trying to use the glove. The glove was completely working, but the kinematics that converts the angle that the glove is sending to the actual angle to turn the motor on the palm is what is off because there's no good maths in it. I don't know if it's still straightforward till now because it gets pretty fucked up real quick. So at this point in time, so now I'll tell my thought process. It's like at 2 o'clock, I've made the realization that these guys actually want the maths, right? So I've looked at the project, I've seen what they are doing. In my mind, I'm like, okay, this is like 9 hours job, right? Like, because if I'm to sit down, if I'm to try to work on their maths, I would take their files, their CAD file, I would get my dimensions, I would do a lot of research, like a ton of research. But I estimated 9 hours. Now, for anybody that's done 9 hours, 9 hours is for anybody that's like done research, 9 hours is a very, very short time, right? But um somehow it's not the first time I'm doing something like this. So I assumed okay, 9 hours will be fine. And maybe extra 2 hours to write the code, right? So at maximum 1 day job, I should be done in 1 day. So okay, that's what I had in my mind. Good. And then I was thinking, usually at this point, you understand the job now, so you should think about how much you are going to charge or what your expectations are. So I had my own expectations in my mind. So for 9 hours, plus or minus, I made my calculations. I had what I had in my mind, right? We'll come back to that. And moving on, we finally agreed on what we are actually doing, that I'm not actually doing Ross. They just used Ross as my interview to press my neck to be sure that I know stuff. But then, why do you use Ross to judge someone's robotics? But again, Ross is very complicated. Like, so yeah, I did that. And I was like, okay. They said, now let's get on another call. Hold up. Another call. So this call, I knew this call was about the negotiation, right? But something happened on the call. So I had, for 9 hours job, I had like, because it's 1 day, so I had roughly 400k, 500k in mind. That's like how it works on my head, right? Okay. So I said, okay, it shouldn't be. I mean, that's if I'm being too greedy, but thereabouts. So they're like, okay, on that call, this is what it looks like after they give you the contracts, right? But I think there's a slide I'm skipping. On that call, something else happened. I was on that particular meeting when I know I've talked about Saka before. I was literally on that meeting when Saka messaged me midnight Nigerian time, I think. But before I go to the message Saka actually sent, Saka enrolled in one NASA competition like that. And the plan was this stuff was supposed to be done with me and Saka. That's the discussion we had. He was supposed to help out, but he got very busy. I mean, I am also very busy, but I just had to like double up because he got some pressure on his side. So we talk basically at the end of the classes and how the things go, and then I talk to him. So he's like, okay, yeah, he prays that I actually win the NASA stuff. This conversation happened on Friday. I was on the interview when Saka sent me this. So like, it was exactly at midnight. And Saka said, Vakel, we won. Now, first of all, big ups to Saka. Right now he's in UK. Like he literally entered UK a couple of days ago. And what made that possible? Robotics. Like robotics. Like when you good, that kind of thing. So he and the funny thing was it was the project that made me message him that he used to win this whole thing to UK because he made the post. I've never known Saka in my life. I knew him like 3 days to when this training will launch. Right. I knew like 3 days to when this project will launch. And I do things on auto drive sometimes. So I saw his LinkedIn post and it was pretty dope. And I was like, hey, I'm doing a training, da 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 da. He's a cool guy. So we really clicked in like one night. So we had the conversation in one night about the train and everything, and he agreed on the spot in one night. And that's how, yeah. So this got me super excited. The price for the NASA stuff was 1M, and I think he made a post about it with this big dummy check and everything. So I saw this message while I was on the call, and there's something about me. If somebody that sees me as a role model or someone to look out, like to look up for, if I see them winning, it's like, how do I put it? I'm satisfied. I can literally close anything I'm doing for the day and go to sleep. So at this point, Saka sends me this message, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to work this night. I don't want to work this night. I have my adrenaline pumping. I'm still on the interview, actually. But something entered my head. Okay, Saka is up 1M, right? So you know what? If these people want to actually work with me, I had 400k in mind, right? And I was like, if these want to work with me, let me charge them 1M. But the funny thing is, yeah, yeah. I'm very spontaneous at times. But the funny thing is, worked. Saka has been working on this for months, right? And it was quite a leap, but I mean, I was happy, I was proud of him, and I was like, all right, let's double this. So back to this. Um, it's due on Saturday. I accepted the offer. Behind the scene, this was how I actually got it for 1M. So what they do is you have the project funds, you have the estimated budget, you have milestone 1. So basically, to do maths, like just to do maths for the project. I told them one, and they said, "Ah, it is cool." So I'm showing behind the scenes so you know that there's actually like a shit ton of reward if you put in the sweat in this stuff. So they were fine with 1M just for the maths. Like that's how much the team don't press their neck. And while me, initially I wanted to charge 400, but I mean, Saka made me happy. So I was like, I'm not going to work. If I'm going to work, then they'll have to like double it. And they did. But I didn't tell them it was about Saka. They don't even know Saka Shabo. I mean, this is what it is. So what happened? This we agreed on at 2:47 a.m. and then the next day at 3:29 a.m. I submitted the equations. So I would show you what it looks like, what kinematics of this kind of system looks like behind the scene. Okay, so let me share this. How do they say this? News flash. My handwriting is actually very terrible when I'm not teaching. I think even when I'm teaching it's terrible. Yeah, even when I'm teaching it's terrible. I try my best, like I try, but so I think somebody mentioned something. Yes, somebody said he opened these robotics textbooks by Bruno Siciliano, and he said they are just skipping of lines, jumping of lines, like they are not solving in between, they're not taking time to explain everything in between. Well, in this case, I was not explaining anything to anybody, so the jumping of line was premium, like the skippings. There is no time to be writing the whole 11 steps in between when you can like foresee what it's going to look like and then you just jump it. So basically, this is what I am looking for. Like in a mathematical term, I am looking for this function. What this means is theta on the glove. It's going to take in all the angles that you turn on your glove, and it's going to return all the angles I need on my motor. It looks pretty simple, but I have to first understand what I am looking for. That's the function I am looking for, basically. And then what follows is 9 pages of odd kind of maths. So this is it. You have I have to like draw this out, understand the variables I am working with. At this point, this is my system layout. So basically, this isn't this is matrix actually. Funny enough, all these are like matrices because at this point you can't use geometry. It's a bit fucked up. So at this point, maybe people that have done dynamics would see Jacobian. I know there was a day, the first day we're talking about what we're going to do and what not, and someone said Jacobian. These are Jacobians. Probably zoom that a bit. It's like all this stuff here are Jacobians. So it took a couple of hours actually, and a lot of different branches of maths came together because not everything is matrices. There were like some things from like complex calculus, and either ways we navigated and we got our final set of equations. Now you have the equations. What you need to do now is write the program for the equations, right? So I also got a script for it. I'll probably just share what it looks like. So you see what it looks like in math, and you see what it looks like in code. Mm, call me friend, call me bro. Okay, doesn't work here. So let me open it in VS Code. Code. Let me share my screen. Entire screen. Okay, this is what this is what the code looks like. I'll just take this out. The code is it's pretty straightforward pretty straightforward, just 210 lines. But what it's doing basically, it has the, I mean, okay, explaining this is a bit too complicated, but just know that you can see different variables, different numbers. These are the measurements on the gloves, like the actual measurements, the diameter of the joints, because there are a lot of things you have to put into consideration. So it's all of that, and then you do a lot of matrix calculation and basic stuff. So um yeah, that was pretty much everything. So I've done my part. I got the job done in like a day. So what did you learn from this? Okay, basically the concept was given to me. I didn't think of the whole um brain to robot arm thing. It's a thing actually. It's a very very like frontier stuff, but like you can't do everything. I've never really bothered myself about that. I had to like learn it on the spot. Now I did the maths clearly, then I wrote the code, and now I'm waiting for the application because they need to like put it on the actual robotic arm and all of that. And it's just a fun joke because I mean, and you understand Ross, Ross run details node okay, like that's the confirmation we usually want. Yep. So that's basically how it shakes out in the real world. Actually, that's how it shakes out in the real world. Uh okay. Oh, this one now trying to be $1 million. Be okay. Yeah, $1 million. Bro, you know how much $1 million is. You know how much $1 million is. I'm like I'm talking in I'm talking in naira. And I mean even 1 million is like a lot for like a 9 hours job, but that's how robotics is. So yeah, people pay because they know what they are looking for and they know they'll get what they want. So approximately 1 hour. No, 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 no. Okay. You can see two and you can see three. It's like 2 a.m. that day and then 3 a.m. the next day. It's not 1 hour. Nobody does all that in 1 hour. Maybe there are people that can, not me. So it was actually a day. It was 24, 25 hours if you want to be, because like I have to go to school. I have to look at different things. Like I have other life I have to live. So I can't sit down for 9 hours straight working. Yeah, I agree. I was about to say that it goes still carry going. Okay, the NASA competition is 1 million. It's 1 million naira, not $1 million. It's this kind of competition where they just like um it's NASA, but it's not in the US, right? Although Saka is just a serial. He's a very competitive kind of person. You seem to have a lot of free time. Me, I have a lot of free time. Aha, aha. See, how do I put this? I'm only free now because I am compelled to be free for you guys. It was part of the things I promised. Maybe, maybe it, thank you, side. It's called time management. Time management is a very sacred skill. It's a very sacred skill because Latifa, no, you dey track me. You dey track me. Can't be saying it doesn't sleep. Okay, so basically, how many hours do I spend at school? I mean, just like any other master's course now, you spend about 6 7 hours, take like 2 3 classes, depending. But how do I get around? How do I get around? Like right now, I'm just why I'm late is because usually I start running home from like 5 o'clock. That's when I start running home because I know that 5 o'clock my time is like 4 o'clock your time. So I know I have like 1 hour, right? But my professor was like, I'm doing my thesis. So he said we should have one meeting like that. And yeah, the meeting took time and I was still in the meeting. I was still in the meeting and I just messaged Quorum that also I'm not pronouncing your name. I feel I'm not pronouncing your name right. But I just messaged him that I'm not going to be free and da da da. So that's why I'm late. Okay, so as I hear morning motivation, I just the pump. No one till you collect work, we press your neck. Collect one you know if you do. Yeah. So that's basically it. And anybody can say anything. Okay, so the next thing I probably should talk about is Erasmus Mundus. How do you get Erasmus Mundus? To me, Erasmus Mundus is the only thing that makes it difficult is the number of people that apply. Yeah. So the first question to ask yourself is why exactly should they pick you out of 2,000 people? And I'm not even joking. For the particular program that I am on, 2,000 people applied. Now, where exactly will what guarantee do you have that you should be selected among 2,000 people? Now, mind you, they only select like 20. I think Samuel was telling me IFROS, they select 30, which is a very, very large amount because 30 is a lot of people to sponsor. Erasmus Mundus sponsors everybody on average, 40,000 euros for the whole program, right? For the whole program. Because depending on which Erasmus you are on, you're either paid 1,000 a month for 2 years, and then you have like, what is Erasmus? Erasmus is a scholarship program. Erasmus is actually a scholar, a polymath. Then in medieval time in Europe, he was very, very smart. So Erasmus is somebody's name actually. I don't collect job where I no sabi. This job where I collect, I sabi am before. I mean, I've never done anything about. That's another thing I want to address. Mindset. Mindset is another thing I want to address. You are not born knowing anything, and make you. School doesn't bring you out ready. Like there's nobody that wants to tell me that. School just tells you what you're supposed to learn. So you are never truly ready for anything. So even when it's an illusion, guy. It's an illusion because school just gives you that knowledge, but school doesn't give you the job. At best, you just do projects in school. But why do you think companies still train their staff? They interview you to know if you are smart enough, and then oh yeah, this guy is smart enough. Take him because he can learn quickly. So you either ways you learn on the job. So let me show you something. I think I still have the window I work with open. The particular window I worked with. Okay, yeah. So for those people that can see my screen, let me increase it a bit. Okay, it's not increasing. I had to read a shit ton of papers. It's not like I knew anything about it. This is joint angle estimation for tendon for software boom. The problem is nobody had the same design as them. Nobody has the same design. Look at this guy's design. I can't share their design because again, you know how these things go. And then everybody have their way of doing things. I also checked out this NASA also did something pretty dope. For some reason, NASA is also involved in this. So this is position control. This doesn't really do motion, but if I have position control, right, maybe just maybe I can walk my way around. So you just read through. Again, reading paper is very fast. It's another weird talent because you don't need all the story. You just basically need their methods and what they did and whatever. So yeah, I made a lot of research. And then this guy, I feel this particular paper had everything I was looking for, I guess, because this was design and control of under actuated. Again, emphasis on under actuated because it affects a lot of things, like a shit ton of things. If the system is properly actuated, it's easier to map it, it's easier to solve it. So yeah, but these guys, they're saying I should request for the paper. As you can see, full text requested. I requested for it and they've not given till now. So I've gotten what I want either ways. So yeah, IEEE. My point. What is my point? You are not born with anything in your head. So yes, I've taken jobs that I didn't know, and I had to learn on the spot. Most of the jobs actually, you have to just learn. Okay, that's aside. Yeah, Erasmus. So yeah, Erasmus is actually so European Union did this mad thing where they are like Africa has a lot of brains. I think this was in 2010. I've forgotten when Erasmus actually started, but like they're like, okay, let's bring in some nice brains from Africa. So they they spend a lot of money. Like they spend nearly billions of euros in payments of the scholarship because Erasmus is like this body, and there are like 182 different Erasmus scholarships. And each Erasmus scholarship, at least my Erasmus scholarship, was funded with 5 million euros. Meaning from that 5 million euros, payments for the students, payments for the staff, the insurance, the professors, everybody's payments, every single thing about the Erasmus is 5 million euros. So the students roughly get like 30,000 to 40,000 euros multiplied by 20, and you already have like 30 to 40% of the money gone, and then the rest takes care of other expenses and things like that. Also, they also take care of your payments. Your visa is supposed to be free. You don't pass through the hassle of rejected visa. Like they actually lift you from Europe. Basically, that's what it looks like. So okay, so the Erasmus is it for undergraduate study too? Yes, yes, but it's difficult for. In fact, there's even Erasmus for vocational activity, like for your handwork. The problem with that is it's almost I don't want to say it's impossible, but given the conditions, it's fairly impossible. I mean, think of it. Europe just wants to invest in high-end skills. They are not going to see Erasmus for one. I mean, I don't want to call any course need, but we know that there are some degrees you study, and then even yourself, you ask yourself, why did you study it? Erasmus will not fund things like that. Erasmus would fund things that they know at the end of your program, you can actually even contribute to them, right? You can contribute to them at the end of the day. I mean, think of it. If you go to Europe, will you want to go back to Nigeria? I mean, I would love to go back to Nigeria, but when I'm comfortable enough to stay in Nigeria without like working, yeah. So that's the thing. I prefer. Well, let's not bring up that talk because people see me as weird for me saying I prefer Nigeria to Europe. You know, ups and downs in different places. So the general thing is most of us we come here and we want to get citizenship and whatever, and it's fine. It's fine. I mean, no human being likes suffer, right? So they know, right? And the thing about being here is you pay tax, you do this, you do that, so it benefits them. And again, you are high income. Now for vocational, they might not want to bring you all the way because how much tax are you going to pay for your? But like you finish with a high end skill or a high end master's degree, you're most likely going to get a research job, or at least you will get the least 2005. By the time they don't have tax from inside, like 300 euros. You say, okay, yeah, they collect money back. So that kind of thing. So yeah. Now the way Erasmus works is let's focus on the robotics part of Erasmus. There is, to the best of my knowledge, there is MIR, which did not accept me. Did not accept me. I was not found worthy of MRI. There is the IFROS, and then that's the two that I know because those are like the most active ones. Right? So to apply for Erasmus, you just search. You go to their websites or you Google this in Google. Just Google Erasmus catalog. Yeah, if you just Google that, you will see a website that shows a lot of Erasmus courses, and then you go to their website. on their website, you can tell. See, applying for Erasmus is very straightforward. The problem is, how do you stand out applying? Because there are increasing number of people applying for Erasmus. Mine was like 2,000 program. Another program must have been higher than 2,000, right? So let's focus on how to apply is on the website. And something that I don't like, what I could, I hate that thing. When you don't actually read the website, but then you jump straight into my DM to ask me questions that are on the website. Now, to put things in perspective, I had to it took me 11 months to prepare for applying for my Erasmus. And within that 11 months, I scraped every part of the website. Like, you'd have to know every single thing. Now, knowing it yourself puts you in a very good advantage. Like, not just knowing, like study. Like, I studied it up to the point that I even know the man that Erasmus was named after. That's how much invested I was in it. And see, believe me, you get the kind of effort. You will not get the Erasmus, and you go vex. If you can't see the effort another person puts, you go not say you're not supposed to get them. There are people that invest time in this thing. Like, they take, yes, now, yeah, you laugh. You know, get you get one comedy, one guy that say in the pray. So as he come in neighbor, we did the other room to the pray. As he come hear the way the guy to the pray, because say make God first answer him. But tough. So now, what do you need? What edge do you have? First of all, if you have first class, like, you are like 20% there. But let me still tell you, person with HND don't dust first class before for our front. Like, it was like joke, like film trick. But I'll explain the difference. But definitely, if you have a first class, that's clever. So let's assume you don't have a first class. It's already too late to get a first class, right? Good. A third class is difficult. A 2-2, I only know of one person, right? A third class is maybe possible with some other adjustments. But this is the thing. Think of it as, why do you think they should go through 2,000 applications and find your own worthy of being interviewed? Because the first thing they do is the interview. So things not to do, always use, there's what is called Europass. Europass is the format for CVs for anything European application. Now, there are some people that said they didn't use Europass and they got Erasmus. No problem. I can't dispute that. But first of all, a lot of these CVs are barely read like the first time. They can just pass it through an AI stuff, and if your CV does not, you must have heard it before, it's how you write your CV and it gets rejected on the spot, like instantly. So I try to play safe. I know that these guys valued Europass, so I'm writing my CV with Europass. Europass is not the finest way to write a CV actually, but it works, so I stick with what works. Now, why should they apply you? There are some major things you need to look at. Your grade, which by the way is the least important thing, but it's important. Now, your contribution to education, that plays a massive role. So when I mean contribution to education, you have people that have written papers. People have written papers, like, I know someone that already wrote like 5 papers. When I mean 5 papers, and they are published in high-end journals. Like, you have a paper that is published in IEEE something, and it's expensive to publish in these journals. So it's either your university covered the fee or you somehow paid for it. So it's respectable. Like, they respect that. But I don't have any publication. Why? It's a flaw on my end. I'm too, like, how do I put it? My head refreshes too fast. Like, it moves too fast. I can't settle down and actually type out a paper. So I've had papers that I was supposed to write, like, before you write a paper, yeah, bro, like we all struggle with different things. Before you write a paper, you have to do the work about the paper, right? So I did the work. I was very fast. Oh, I write the paper now. Man, I was so lazy. I was like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Like the thrill is already gone for me. The thrill was in doing the work and getting the result, and I'm done. So the rest of it didn't really matter much to me. So that's how I ended up not having a paper. So I was short on that. But I have other contributions to educations, like a lot of contributions to education. I have run companies that work in education. I have I have a YouTube channel. Like I opened a YouTube channel when I was in my 100 level, and I was basically teaching physics and maths on it. I have written blogs, articles. Also, TC that is writing blogs and articles. Evidence, no the ways to. That's one thing I can testify. If you just put your, if you put your, because me, I have my YouTube, and that YouTube account is old. My 100 level, I ran that from my 100 level to my 200 level, and then I got bored. So it got about 6,000 viewers, and I mean it was pretty active back then in school. So I had that as my contribution to education. Drop a YouTube channel name. I want to check something. I guy want go look my past too. Yeah, it was a very weird name. It was a very weird name. Basically, it's a skewed. It's a joke. The name is a joke. Carlab is a joke. It had meaning back then. So what did I say again? See. So I have all of those in my in my CV, in my motivation letter. Now, at least I've contributed to education. That's one thing like I'm proud of. So anybody that sees it, you literally you see notifications when they view your LinkedIn. Like the university uses the university account to view your LinkedIn or to view your YouTube channel. You see those notifications. So when I see those notifications, I'm like, like chill, it's actually working. Now, aside your contribution, what projects have you done? Your final year project is a big deal. Your final year project is a very big deal. Your final year project summarizes all your suffer. So you can have like a tutu, and your final project is one mad innovation like that. Then maybe to add more sauce on it, your final project have papers. Because some people they do final project and then papers come out of it. Again, my final project was the same thing. As a matter of fact, my final project, I finished it. We're supposed to write papers on it. I got bored again. So it was a funny case where the next set now like kind of wrapped up all those side and the paper, and then they published the paper, and somehow my name was not there, but regardless. So if you can do that, yeah, it's going to give you a lot of edge, right? So now let's leave those projects aside. Certification. It's in certification that I actually have the greatest advantage. What I mean the greatest advantage? What do I mean by certification? A senior of mine once said, Engineer Sani Nicholas. Engineer Sani Nicholas. I think his brother is on this training. He said there was a day he told me I came to meet him. We're talking. He's the person that taught me CAD, that introduced me to CAD and all of that. So that was my 200 level. We're talking, and Sani told me he paid 16,000 for a course. Ha! And 16,000 is like back then was like my 2 weeks feeding money now. I mean, money was something then now. 16,000. I was like, it didn't make any sense to me. You're already paying school fees. You're going to school. Why are you paying 16,000 for a course? And Sani said, it's for something that is going to give you additional knowledge. You'll be willing to pay for it, provided you value that knowledge that it's going to give you. That thing introduced how do I put it? That is the sole sponsor of my most reckless spending habits. I've buy money for see, you don't understand. Hmm. You will literally not understand. If you go through this summer was super crazy for me. This summer I spent a lot of money just doing what? Going to summer schools. A summer school is like if the way you do summer schools is like 1 week, 2 weeks. You learn something new in any course. It's not only robotics. There's summer school for architecture, all those kind of things. And summer schools are, at least in Europe, they're not cheap. They're actually not cheap. So um the idea is you learn something very new, right? You see the forefront of research and all of that. And for that 1 week, you go to like a different country, depending on where the summer school is. So you're flying there, you're flying back, you're eating outside for 1 week or 2 weeks, depending. You're sleeping in the hotel, which by the way is crazy in Europe here. So that's that thing that Sani said. I thought of it, and there are certain certificates you put on your CV and people respect it. Say, for example, you have a certificate from IBM. You have a certificate from IBM and you're doing data science. I mean, at least for those people that know what IBM is, they go cut one or two cap for you, right? Then you're doing robotics. You have like maybe a graduate certificate in robotics and automation from one nice university in US. These are things that people would see on your CV and they will like, okay, this guy actually tried. And then maybe so like it's monetary intensive, it's money intensive, yeah. But there are two things it shows. It shows that you've been through some form of like professional certification, meaning you have the knowledge, at least, or you appear to have the knowledge. And two, you paid for, because sometimes I'll be honest with you, some things are overpriced in academia. Because I don't see why I'm paying 1.6 million to go to a very crowded class to hear people like just talk about robotics for 3 days. It's overpriced, right? At times it's overpriced, but then you are paying for the name of the institution. You're paying for the name because like when they give you that certificate, like the institution is there, like you've passed through that university. Like if you look at for John Hopkins is doing one course, like not a whole master's degree, one course on AI for 4,000 euros. Sorry, $4,000, which is about 6-7 million. And it's just one course. It's not even a full bachelor. But like you have that kind of thing on your CV. It's like a booster. But then you ask me, I mean, if to say you get that kind of money before you would define Erasmus, I understand. But now there are like cheaper alternatives. Coursera, Udemy doesn't count. I'm not even going to lie to you. Udemy doesn't count because I've seen someone that pack many Udemy certification. How much is Udemy certification? Udemy's cost is not like 16K. And the problem with Udemy is it is not, how do I put it? You can basically just open a Udemy account and start teaching. It's not really, yeah. It's not really, but no, I'm not saying it's bad because for someone that like I have over like 400 courses in Udemy, like not me teaching, no, it's not me teaching, but like courses that I bought in Udemy. Udemy is very great for learning things because the people in Udemy, they talk to you like, how do I put it? They give from their own experience. There's some guys on Udemy that like once they release one course, even though I don't really have a reason for it, I just buy it, watch it in my free time because they would explain their experiences. They don't just go there to teach. It's not like school or it's, yeah, like I said, wahala, me we get like 30 Udemy courses. They wait for, see at this point, at this point there, yeah, it's just too much of everything is actually bad though. But I mean, I don't want to think of that because what comes in one side of my head is one day, bring them. And funny enough, yes. Yes. So for this particular program that we're doing, we're going to use, for us, we're going to use what is called Move It. And something happened. While I was like trying to see how I can, the best way to teach, I was trying to like, because I the first thing that comes to mind if you want to do things like that is you would want to teach them how to program it in the class, but maybe we can take another approach that everybody would follow along. So that's why I was using demos. So while I was doing all of that, something came to my head and I was like, wait, I think I have a, no, I said, let me check on Udemy. I think I can see courses on Move It, and maybe I can see if they use demos or something. So I went on Udemy, I went to search for it. My thought process was I was going to buy the course on the spot. And I searched for the course and I found out that I already have the course. And I was like, okay, a win is a win. So I just went straight to the course. And then the course talked about how to get all these demos. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I am unrelated, and it might not, some people might see that, okay, that's very small compared to the cost of the course. But I see it as, what if I didn't have the course? I would have to either buy it either ways, or I miss out on this very small amount of knowledge that's giving us some form of leverage. Because now we know about the demo. I didn't know about the demo before I saw that course, right? And to me, knowledge is far more valuable than money. Although yes, it's money that runs the whole world, and normally I could shout OP everywhere, but you know, there's amount of knowledge you get that in that, okay, you can always get money. Besides the point, let's leave philosophy for philosophers. So yeah, as of the time that I applied, I had already gotten about 60 something certificates, both professional certificates. Like, I was updating my LinkedIn with professional certificates and I got tired. So I stopped updating at about 43. So if you go to my LinkedIn and go to certificates, you just like keep scrolling and things like that. So whenever I applied for anything, I have like this PDF where I put all my certificates into one PDF and I just name it like professional certificates. So those things would give you, it's going to give you an insane edge. And this is me telling you that like that's what I feel actually boosted me really, really well. Now, as for the case of robotics, it's super easy for you to get it, because there's something I realized that people do not really do, and it's more like, I won't say it's a secret, but for the fact that so many people do not know it, then it's a secret. And probably if I knew this when I applied for MRI, I probably would have gotten it. So this is what happens, or this is what happened. So many people don't put their GitHub in their applications for these scholarships. Like, so many people completely neglect GitHub, and it's nobody's fault. GitHub is, I mean, who really uses GitHub that much? Except when you want to go and copy code or you want to thief code from somebody. So there's something that happens even when I'm applying for jobs, or like I'm proposing for jobs on Upwork. I've tried the experiments. Normally when something job, you have like your cover letter. I've done something where I just took projects from my GitHub, just the GitHub links, and just put it in the cover letter and sent it without any DSR, blah blah blah. So they click it. Although for GitHub you can't tell when they look at your repo unless it's private and someone tries to request access. But all things being equal, they can't tell. So what happens is they look at your GitHub repo, they look at how well you document, because I've had somebody commend just the documentation. Now when they look at replicability, like, can they replicate what you did or what you are claiming? Because it's easy to just put up anything on GitHub and then maybe the code doesn't work, you just leave it there, and then somebody might just look at it and say, okay, let me try and see what this guy actually was. And if the code works as you documented it, like you use an actual documentation, they looked at it, they work, and it worked, that's a plus. Like, that's a very big plus. So that's why I said, okay, part of this training will be like I'll try and like activate guys to GitHub, because you get kind of evidence you go there on GitHub and you know say, but this guy don't try. Because you have to convince them. Most times when I'm like, when I want to hire someone, or maybe someone wants to do internship with us and everything, the first thing I ask is GitHub, and they send their GitHub repo, and it's very dry. So what do you want me to use to assess you? Right? I know you can cheat the system, you can copy AI codes and put on GitHub, you can, but even that takes effort. You know that takes effort. That takes effort. It takes effort to completely generate code that works on AI, because you go to prompt them, and this one does not work. Correct this one does not work. But it still takes effort. And if for effort, they will reward that effort. But I'm not saying you should do that though. But that's a very quick way to do it. So people that are actually doing real projects and you're pushing it to GitHub, and then your open source contribution, you can say that, okay, I contributed to this, I contributed to that. Now those kind of evidence Erasmus defined. Like that's the evidence Erasmus is looking for. It is very difficult for you to see a student that has everything. But from all the categories, I took my time to like break down all the categories that Erasmus are looking for. And the way I did it was, I said, right, I have 11 months. So what's going to happen is, for these next 11 months, we're going to die. Like, if for any reason I did not get Erasmus, I probably have entered a very Great Depression. Like, I'm not even joking. So for 11 months, I was basically rotating it. Contribution to education, certificates, projects. I think there's some other things. Depending on the Erasmus. Some even have different grade for English proficiency. So English proficiency. So basically, the way I do it is, okay, this week I have like a tracker in my head. This week I've gotten this progress for my projects. That's project I've done on my own. Oh. Okay, what next? Contribution to education. It's a master's in education program. Now, given that I know my weaknesses, I'm lazy with writing paper. I didn't even bother because I can't start writing paper. So, from that studying realization that PhD means you have to write papers. Sanubwa. Okay, either ways. I would have to write paper at the end of the day. Sha. What certificate issuer do you recommend? Okay, what kind of certificate do you advise for someone who isn't able to attend summer school to take? Okay, now these are the same questions. Consider cost, consider whatever. Let's assume cost is a problem. Let's assume cost is a problem, because cost is a problem actually. Coursera is the go-to. Coursera is the go-to. Why? Also, are there usually scholarships for summer schools? Yeah, there are scholarships for summer school, but I was not eligible for it, so I didn't bother. There are scholarships for summer schools. Like now, there's one going on for IEEE, where they will sponsor you there and all of that. But I don't know. You can try. You can try. At times, I feel there's like, at times I feel, I mean, nothing stops you from applying. If you get it, it's fine. But there are a lot of limitations. A lot of limitations, because um you still get to pay for getting over there. Like, that's the sad reality. You still get to pay for getting over there. You are still at the risk of getting your visa denied. Like, this is a harsh reality. Regardless of whether or IEEE, the only people that can pull you, or that can assure you that your visa will not have problem, is if they need you, but they don't really need you for the summer school. Technically, as a matter of fact, they are spending on you. So like, that's why most people that have USA scholarships, they rarely have visa issues, because USA needs them for the PhD, or needs them for the masters or whatever. But there are still some cases where the university not to get level to involve for visa matter and the visa will be denied. It happened to a friend of mine, but these are rare cases. So you can apply, but bear in mind that nobody will. Can I recommend some summer schools? Are you talking of Nigeria or outside the country? If you're talking of Nigeria, no. If you're talking of outside the country, I don't know. I just search for IEEE RAS, IEEE RAS summer schools. They have like a series. So this is how it works. For IEEE, IEEE is a business. So IEEE will do robotics for Arial. They will do Arial summer school, Robotics summer school. They will do humanoid. They will do they will do AI in robotics. Yes, IEEE. They will do they'll basically spread everywhere in robotics. But all these summer schools will never clash with each other. Like they would never clash. At most, there will be a day or two in between those summer schools. And now so they take trap me. I'll move for like one summer school to another summer school to another summer school. Yeah. You have summer for Nigeria. Oh, we can be good. We can be good. Yeah. Okay. So I don't feel you should put in much effort into summer schools. I mean, this is just, I mean, you can. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to apply, to be very honest. It doesn't cost anything to apply. If luck falls on your side, yeah. Then if you have the money to follow up, yeah, like money you can lose because, yeah, you can. But you need to understand that a summer school is, okay, depending on the summer school you're applying, it's not a place where you go to learn from scratch. At least the ones I went for, right? There are no place where you go to learn. There's some summer schools that I went for, and on the first day of class, it was extremely complex. Summer schools are like niched. Like if you remember what I said, I people who organized for Arial, they organized for underwater, they were organized for AI. They are like extremely niched. So do not look at the example that I'm saying. I went from one place to another I was just having fun because to me it's fun. But it's not really I won't say it's ideal because I mean it's good to have all those knowledge, and if the good thing is if you have all those knowledge as a freelancer that I am, there's hardly any job you cannot do, there's hardly any role you cannot play. Like, splendid, it's good. But if you want to, like, there's some people that rather be focused in one thing and like do it till the end. If that's your goal, then you probably should not be hunting so many summer schools, right? Also, the summer school does not give you a straight up ticket, but it gives you a lot. If you are like after the summer school, you still have to come to the country because your visa is only valid for that. Like when you go back to your country, you would have to now start applying for everything afresh. But it gives you the experience that you've been exposed. So it's splendid. But again, you need to have the money because you are flying out yourself, you are coming back yourself. I think the scholarship is for the cost of the summer school. Like if you were to pay 1.6 million, you won't pay at all. Or maybe they give you like a discount. I've never gotten a scholarship for the summer school, but for my friends, when we got to the venue, when we got to the summer school, I saw some people that had scholarships. They still covered their flights, right? But they basically have free accommodation and they had like some deduction in fee. So I don't know, it's more like you fuck around and find that kind of thing. So you find out what they have and all of that. Also follow IEEE RAS. Where did you attend your summer schools? Where? I attended in okay, to be clear, I've only been in Europe for a year. So I've only experienced one summer. So I attended in Patras, Greece, Syros Island, Greece. That's another one. Two summer schools happen in Greece. Greece is a mad place, like beautiful. I attended in Prague, Czech Republic. I was in Berlin at some point too. I attended in Bari, Italy, and yeah, Netherlands. Where was that? Where in Netherlands again? I've forgotten. The Dutch have weird pronunciation. So like yeah, 6. The Netherlands. so yeah, I got now again. See, they can reject you on top of your money. Oh. Summer schools are they have limited slots. Some smart schools say they can only take 50 people. So your application still has to stand out for the summer school. They are not like so many people apply for summer school. So I was not accepted for there's this one I really liked. I mean I liked all of them, but there's one I really wanted to go because I wanted to go to Switzerland. Um I've forgotten that one, but we go again next week. I'll be sorry, next year. I don't know if I'll still be rejected, but that's like one of the like top ones. Yeah. So yeah, I attended different summer schools. That's where I attended. See, okay, so David, Coursera. So now let me explain the Coursera trick for you. On Coursera, back in the days, there was this bonanza like that you pay $1 for 1 month, but it involved referring somebody. So if you see how we farm that in that year, we just go find one of our friends, refer, do this, but it's no more there. So the new thing is $24 a month. Coursera does not do financial aids again. Before you can apply for financial aid, if somehow you have that option, you can check for it. But Coursera, they lost a lot of money through financial aid because people exploited it. Right. So you pay $24 a month. The trick is for that $24 a month, you can do any course. Right? You can do any course. So what I usually advise is try as like for that month that you pay, because $24 is still considerable money. For that month that you pay, ensure that you don't have anything that will block your schedule. Ensure that your schedule so I can maximize that 1 month to finish as many courses as you need to finish. So that's on one side. Now the second one I would recommend is edX. edX on average one course is $99. Some courses are more depending on if it's a professional certificate, if it's a bundle, you just check up. But edX still has financial aid. Why? Because it's a bit more trickier to apply financial aid for edX. It's a bit more trickier. For Coursera, the button is just there, financial aid, and you click on it. But for edX, it's a longer process. So people don't even know there's financial aid. So that one is still working. Thank God. You get about 80% discounts. And that's a lot. All you just have to do is explain, I don't have money, I'm a graduate, I'm this. Normally, format today for billing. So that's that. Then another thing is, if you want to like step up the game and say you have like 400K to spare, check out Nextford University. Nextford University have courses that are nice. Like the learning experience is nice. I took one robotics and automation course there, and again they're like, you know what it means when you're like, oh, okay, Nextford University, it's like a bit popular in US. So you get a bit of the fame from the name. You get a bit of fame from the name of the university, and your skin full. You can go on Stanford website. If you go on Stanford, you can do a robotics course for about 1,000 something, 1,200 thereabouts. But again, all these things, if you say now just this thing you want to do, understand that there are people that are in the developed part of the world that are still applying for Erasmus. There are people from prestigious universities still applying for Erasmus. So you need to understand that it's not about buying so many certificates or getting these. basically it's about that, but it's not about that alone. From everything I've explained, you will see saying a collabo. If you just focus on one side and leave the rest hanging, not much. If you focus on some other aspect and you are deficit in some other aspects, nothing will come board. Again, there are cases where Erasmus just throws like, life is random. So some people might not even put in so much effort and then they get an Erasmus. But that is like 0.01% that is ever going to happen. How about the courses on Audacity? I've seen Audacity, but a quick check would find out if. Give me a minute. So basically, it's a simple search. Is Audacity, no, not legit. What they call it? There's a name. When we want to check if, I can go with legit. Let's see. I've never used Audacity actually. Might be good, might not be good. Oh, yeah, accredited. It's accredited. Accredited is the word, not legit. It's already accredited. That's the word. So courses on Coursera are accredited because they are tied to real institutions. Udemy is not accredited. So you see, Udacity is not an accredited from Udacity themselves. So another thing is you have to make sure you're like reading from the right source, not one random guy on Reddit telling you something. So Udacity is not accredited. This is where the major issue comes in. It's good to have the knowledge. I've never taken a course on Udacity because I don't know. I don't just like the UI. It's just weird. Like somehow stuck between being a Coursera and being a Udemy at the same time. So it's usually just weird for me. Okay, so okay. So but how much? Let me see the price on the course on Udacity. Let me see if it's worth it. Or is it free? Let's see. Probably I just search for robotics. Where's the search for? Search for robotics. Let's see. Come on. You can't tell me. You can't tell me the site is not responding. Great. The search bar is not working. Like every other thing is working, but the search bar is not working. I know there was a reason why I hated Udacity. That it wasn't just giving me what I wanted. The UI is bad. Let's see if I can get robotics. Autonomous system should work. Autonomous system programs, AI release, sensor fusion. Okay, robotic software engineering. I think that's more like it. By the way, sensor fusion is one very, very hard aspect of robotics. Like, sensor fusion is pretty sick. Okay, Jesus. Okay, mad. Not what it is. If I was to say it's not what it. I mean, what I normally do in this case is when I know that the certificate doesn't really matter, because at times the school might not teach well, but the certificate matters. Like having a certificate from like a big university. See, even going to Harvard Business School, even if you know pass, like you go and they say okay, you try, they give you certificates. Even if you know good, that Harvard Business School doors will open. So what I would do is, if I were you, what are they talking about? Well, what is robotics? You see this thing, eh? I will copy them, find them elsewhere. Gazebo, how to build my world. There's a course on this still in Udemy for a cheaper price, a far cheaper price. And this is per month to even start with. But by the same time, it's not like it's just one course. From what I'm seeing here, unlimited access to 100 of top rated courses. So it's not like it's one course, but this is even more expensive than Coursera. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And okay, now see now, one-time payment, 442 euros for one-time payment. I mean, you can get to summer school for like 500 euros. So let's assume 444 and 500 are the same thing. Compare this to a summer school, hell now. So I'm not going to take Udacity. Somebody's trying to join the call. I don't know why. Okay. Admit. So yeah, so basically what I'll do is I would ROS Essentials, Intro to ROS, Catkin. This is ROS 1. This isn't even ROS 2. So when I do ROS 2, Catkin is ROS 2. Like it's the build system for ROS 2. There's Qualcomm build, as some of you must have seen, there's Catkin. So I can see Catkin here. Yeah, so they said they updated it in 2015. No. They are telling me it's an old course. I mean, it's an old course. For me to see ROS 1 is an old course, but they said it was updated in 2015, September 15th, which was last month. So I don't know if there's actual ROS hiding somewhere here or was updated. Hey, Monte Carlo. We have like a week. We'll talk about Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo is like my favorite thing in robotics for reasons we'll find out why. So is it a good investment? No. Maybe if it was recognized, like if it was like accredited, then it's a sure bet. Yeah, it's a sure bet. So yeah. Okay, so David, Coursera, edX, then Nextford, Stanford, different programs actually. From my own experience, I have like 30 something from Coursera. Who's calling me? I have like 30 something from Coursera. I have like 8, 9 or 10 from edX. Then I have one from Nextford. That worked for me basically. I didn't see Stanford. I didn't see the price of Stanford was not just it. You don't really need it. Let me not say you don't need it, but I mean it depends on what you're looking for. But I mean it is what it is. Yeah, aside that, somebody said I should touch something about time management, but I remember I had another call for time management. I don't know, it's something for time management. If you want to do something, just stand up and do it. I really, it takes a lot of practice, but yeah. And then some people are good with multitasking, which at some point you have to admit talent or grace, whichever it is. At some point you just have to admit that not everything is actually hard work, but I stand on the fact that hard work will beat talent that doesn't work hard. Like I stand on that fact. I stand on that fact because if you have the talent and you do not work hard with it, it basically just sits there and rots, right? And then you have the talent, and like you don't have the talent, right? But then you put in the work, you are going to see results. Like it might be long term, it might be whatever, but it's going to be easier if you have the talent. Fine, but is that an excuse? No. Life. Ah, my guy, CR7, well, you sabi ball any day, anytime. Like die hard for him. So I die hard for CR7. So yeah, um, he's CR7 is someone that you can tell that he put in a shitload of effort, and he was able to compete with someone that was talented and had hard work. Because Messi did not just lie around doing nothing. If Messi lied around doing nothing, he would end up like Hazard. Because Hazard has a shitload of talent, but he didn't want to work. I mean, yes, look at it now. Hazard sabi ball. Neymar has a shitload of talent. Like Neymar good. But I want to say lie you say he swear on party you. And I actually like Neymar's kind of lifestyle. No, let me be very specific because Neymar has a lot of bad lifestyles. Neymar carries his friends along. So Neymar has a couple of friends that are just on payroll. Neymar lets you Neymar just sabi. That like they refer to him as that Agbero FC. My best friend na Agbero fan na those ones. How they live life anyhow. So you see Neymar, these are people that no, it's Hazard one that pain me. Hazard. Ah God. Fuck. See, when talent wastes, these are things you see around you. So I don't like that. I don't like that excuse that you say you're not talented. Okay, fine, you're not talented now. What should happen? Like you've identified you're not talented. What should now happen? I have my flaws. I identified I can't do this, I can't do that. So hey, what's going to happen is I'm going to either avoid it and look for another way to make ends meet. Because like you put me as a researcher, I'm going to do well to research. But when I'm done researching, I get bored. So like I can't write what I've researched. Like so I probably might not do well as a researcher. And I'm not the kind of person that likes to sit down in one place and work in an office. Or like you go to a company and so you know what works for you and you try and like live life instead of blaming. Okay, as they don't give you talent, drag God now. Go tell God, say no try. So like that's like on another side. There are things I'm not also talented at that I had to learn. There are things you see technical drawing. Hey God. For some reasons, I cried in because we did technical drawing 200 level. Hey, I cried. Like it was so humiliating. And you know this kind of feeling where you feel like a god in some other in some other aspects. See technical drawing, Said na my guy, we suffer. I say so, and the way it was in my school self, 200. So I don't be only you. I said technical drawing naked me for public. They call the very first class for technical drawing. That's my very first class. I didn't do it in secondary school. I didn't do it anywhere. They gave us they said we should buy board. I know we don't buy board, buy tools, ruler, sets, everything don't come board. Fine. And I said, so I was thinking they would teach us. I mean that's the idea. That's why we're in school. I was thinking they would teach us. And then the man just came inside the class. He already told us that we should buy the handouts beforehand. So me, I don't lack my handout normally now. So he just came to class. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all the way to 1.5, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, all the way to 2.20. The time is 2 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, submit it to my office. And he left. Hi! And I turned to the right. People have started. People don't they draw sword, don't they draw line, don't they? And I don't know how to hold. I don't know how to hold the ruler. I don't know how to position. I don't know. I don't know nothing. And there was this common joke in school that said, the moment you take me out of math and computers, or the moment you take me out of analytical thinking and hand me over with tools, you've crippled me. But somehow, I'm not blessed with hardware. And sadly, as simple as this thing looks, it took me 2 days to assemble. It's something I am not, I mean, I admit that I'm not good at everything. But it took me 2 days to assemble this thing. And the tutorial is 10 minutes. Like it took them 10 minutes on the tutorial and it took me 2 days. So yeah, I have to work hard in some other aspects of my life. It's not as if I'm talented somewhere. And you can still produce pretty good results because the moment this is set up, it looks nice on video, pretty much good. Your lines were never straight. Me too. My lines are not straight for a reason. I'm a left-handed person. But this kind of thing, they get better in village, you guys irritate day, they write with left in a course, you use left hand, the south port, they want to flog the left hand, turn me right, Sanubwa. But I guys did you you now God. If no be say my grandma na still good person for but they will not hold my hand like this, they will not carry ruler, they will not flog the knuckle. They'll flog. Don't use your left, don't use your left. But that's the thing about everything exposure, right? I, Typical village setting, guys, they right today. So even with my rights, I struggle with coordination at times. You need to see me. You need to see. I think when I edit the video I made, there's a case where I was screwing for like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. And after I screwed, I realized I flipped it because I have issues with like right and left, left and right because of that whole switch. Like it's just how it is. Okay, that's beside the point. So for technical drawing, it was pretty shitty. So what I did was every Saturday and Sunday for the 12 weeks of my 200 level, I would carry my bag 7 o'clock in the morning. I would carry food, carry water, and then I go to class with my drawing board. So and the funny thing about your guys go make meme of everything. If I still check my phone, I go see meme where they don't. So like that was just how it is. And then that's how I became good at technical drawing. You know? Like that's how I became very good at it. But like nobody will know that I would spend hours doing it, right? Nobody will know that I bust cry like Alpha side, follow me talk.
So I get what you want to ask you. I mean, they talk
Yeah.
say all this card and all these I think they call themselves all this computer aided design. Sha.
Mm.
I go need all this drawing matter for the. My point is, shey all those things really matter for the robotics. I be as something we say I just by the side
Well, I
because as me
dodge all those
and
things. Oh.
drawing, maybe that's
Okay, so there's somebody on this call that likes the card side of robotics. I greet you from afar. I will just view status. She will just the post say, "No, I live for now." Let me give you an example. You like there, be the person they laugh. The person they laugh. Yeah. Now, so they can't do many. So now see, remember I said this robot now, it's the physical one. So you need to Olamide, you want to show yourself because I thought I don't like and I wash them for my face, which can be solid or sweet. So this robot now, this is the physical. So we need it in the computer. The first thing that comes to mind is card, because if you have the card, you can do a lot of things, right? Good, but card files are heavy. For those people that have run simulations, yes, I've run simulations. I use card excellently well too because I needed to have a good grade. And again, I'm an architect. I'm supposed to use card. I use card every day. So if I use it forcefully and it doesn't come natural to me. So what was I doing? What was I saying? See. So because in robotics we do a lot of programming, it is easier to specify robots in a way that the computer would understand it faster. That card model you are seeing takes a lot of time to render for the computer to understand it. So there's something we do. We use URDF. So you see that robot arm for every robot arm you see, every humanoid do anything at all you see in the simulation, it is not a card. Like for like in Gazebo, you cannot import card file straight into Gazebo. Cannot. What you do is you have to convert it to STL, and then from STL you can now convert to URDF. There's a long pipeline for it. Usually STL to DAE to DAE, you now write the URDF, then you might use Zacro. We'll come up to that. There's a whole class on that too, because I like this is something I have to tell you people. Now, you see this particular job I did for the robotic arm. They didn't have they didn't see, they wanted to cheat the system. They didn't have the mindset to do any maths on it or to do any long stress on it. So they wanted to they did the model, the card, and then they exported the model to like 3D print and fabricate and weld and PCBs and all of that. And then they did that. Now, because they've had the model in real life, they didn't really see any need to test out the code like in some form of simulation or something like that. So like they went straight up to get the gloves and all of that. So for that reason, they only had the CAD file, but the CAD file is not what we use. So me now, I've never had the reason to do anything CAD. As a matter of fact, if we're on a team and suddenly there is need for CAD, the first thing I'll say is get a CAD person, or I know somebody that does CAD. Why? Why is because there's a reasonable price for people that do CAD, but even at that price, I won't do CAD. So it's irrational because I don't like it. So it's irrational for me to hike the price when I know that I can tell my friend, hey, Alpha, look at this job. Oh, they are in need of CAD. Let's work on it together. Is what I naturally do. And in some cases where it is inevitable, because in this guy's case, they sent me the CAD file because they did not have URDF for any robotic formats. So I had to open the CAD file. I had to now take the measurements from the CAD file. I did everything with so much annoyance. Because if they had the URDF, everything is inside. You would see how URDFs are. So you don't have to, except you want to go to that part of robotics that has to do with the design, and that's like a whole different thing. Robotics is wide, right? That is one part of robotics I dodge because I don't have strength to be as a matter, I hate GUIs. Anything GUI, I hate the old GUI interface. So yeah, that's it. So you're safe. You can just stick to what works. There are many other places you can explore. Right? So yeah, basically that's it. I don't know if I've skipped anything or what. Yeah, sure. So we've had a nice chat. We've been here for like, I don't know, 2 hours plus, maybe 3 hours. Lost track of time. I think we can call it a day if there is no other question. What else for Erasmus? Oh, but it took me 11 months to prepare for Erasmus. I mean, I can't think of everything on the spot. There are things you might ask me now that I've never heard of in my life. No, sorry. There are things you ask me now that never occurred to me to say, right? So maybe till you ask me. And again, I'm assuming you do not know enough to know what to ask me. Alpha, Olalekan.
Yeah. Good evening. Actually, I want to ask regarding career stuff and academics. So I have been like I dropped from first class when I actually started learning data science. So
Mhm.
then I was like, okay, this school of a thing, like most people that I see, they don't really, not that they really uh, based on school only, like they have other value added skills. So during that time while learning data science, so I realized that I can't really cope with the two, like maintaining my first class and still working on data science projects. So is there any like any advice regarding that? You mentioned
Okay.
something like getting certifications and stuff. So
Okay.
how can someone manage that?
First of all, what I would advise is you know yourself. I've I've come across people that cannot combine school with any other thing. I I try to respect individual differences. I try to respect individual differences because for me it was something that I had to learn how to do. And there are still some people in this training that like that and they said, oh, they want to learn how to do that. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll carry you guys along. So the first thing I would say is you have to try and learn to balance things, because there is never a point in your life where you're going to have only one thing to do. You are going to get married eventually. You're not going to quit your job. You are going to raise children. You're not going to quit your job to do that. Even amongst our parents, we can see that there are some cases where they cannot do more than one thing at the same time. They are too busy with work, family suffers, affect the brain. So like now let's assume that's not your problem. Let's assume maybe your school too tough, and let's assume you cannot try. Let's bring that out of the equation. Now, school and value added skill. I would like to put it this way: school is supposed to give you those skills, but school has a different approach to it, right? Data science that you are saying, there are some people that took a course, like one course, maybe IT, and they introduce them to data, right? You can even robotics, maybe it was part of your course as a mechanical engineer. Your degree has a lot of skills. Yeah, compulsory classes. Now that's another thing. Oh, that's another thing, because people that know me know that me and classes were not the same thing. Me and classes were not the same thing. And the penalty for skipping classes is deduction of mark. I'm fine with it, because like I have different like ideas. So yes, I understand you. So now you hold the first class so tightly, so you know you're trying to not miss the classes, their deduction of marks or whatever the criteria are. So what I will now say is um it's a dilemma that many people face, and the easiest thing is to learn how to balance it. It's easier to learn how to balance it than to live with the consequences of neglecting one. There are people that like they didn't do any skill at all. They just graduated with the first class. There's no manual to life. So many people that did that ended up struggling. I know a lot of them. Again, I want to use Sakan as an example. He's an excellent student, but he somehow found a skill that somehow aligns with his own degree. So he didn't really have so much issues. Imagine if you are doing mechatronics and then you are taking additional value skills in robotics. It's almost the same thing. But maybe you are doing mechanical engineering and you want to do skills in data. Now that's like two different things. So it's going to be more difficult. So I don't even know. You're taking interest in data and now you're here for robotics. So I really don't know where you stand. So I think you should need to find yourself first. So you see, there are different branches that your stuff can branch out into. So now you probably should find yourself, because I don't know why you are here if you really want data. So pick one thing to do. Data, robotics, they're not the same thing. Your degree might still be something different. So probably your problem is not only just you cannot manage things, but you don't know where to actually like put your head in. Okay. Now that I've said that, I'm just saying things that you need to pick. You pick whatever you want to pick and apply it to yourself. Now, another thing is, every day, I would say it 100%. It is either you look for a skill that aligns with your degree, or you look for a skill that you like. So if you are going to do something that is not your degree, it should not be a burden. Like, school is a burden enough. Like, even if we do enjoy school, it's a burden sometimes. So your skill should be something that you'd actually enjoy, so nobody's going to force you to do it. So either way, you know that you have two-factor authentication. If one side casts, the other side will pick up. Now let's assume no skill and you do just university, you do just your school. Understand that you're not in a developed society to do just your school. People that are in Covenant, now university, nice universities. Those are like, at least they have some level of standard, Bangkok, which other one? Lagos, Unilag. Yeah, Unilag has some good standards. So there are high chances you can do just your skill. Please, can you explain how prepared? Okay, hold on. So there's an example. There are cases where you can do just your school, and then from your school you can make it from your school. But making it from your school now means maybe a scholarship, because you want to go into an academia, right? So a scholarship, and that brings us back. So even if you want to do a scholarship, you need to have so many other things, like so many other things I have to put into like consideration. So I cannot tell you focusing on only school will make you or mar you. I don't have that. Life is, you just look at the equation of your life and put in things to try and succeed. I can't tell you outrightly, because there are people that they did only school, it cast for them, they don't see job, they don't see scholarship. And a lot of people, but I can tell you, a lot of people regret clinging on to only school. A lot of people regret, because at the end of the day, only school does not give you what it takes to even get a scholarship for masters to go and continue the school, except you want to do it in Nigeria. That's on that side. The next person that raised hand was Tracy. Tracy, what's up?
Hi, hi everybody.
Hello.
So yeah, I don't know, like I have a good question. Like I don't know, but it's something similar to what this guy that you're talking to about data science. So first off, I um I'm a video editor, right?
Ah, great.
I am
Yeah.
a proper video editor, and this is a skill that I picked along the line that I genuinely like.
Okay.
But
Okay, nice.
I'm the kind of person that likes to go to school and come out and do something that is related, right? So I went
Okay.
to school
Okay.
first. I did computer science. I went to school second. I'm doing software engineering. Like I just like to be doing the thing, and it's not because I don't know what is actually even driving me. But to be very honest, I just really like it. And then, when you told us to
Yeah.
introduce ourselves, you were asking us our area of specialty and all of that. So that's what my question is. I said it during my introduction that I want to, because there's no way I can drop the skill because I genuinely like it. And it's something that while I'm going to school for software engineering, I'm going to school for video editing, pari passu. And then there is now robotics. So all of these things, I'm, managing it well, good and fine. But my own is that I want to be able to link them. So I don't know. Is there a part in robotics that concerns, you know, the skill that I do?
Okay.
So like I just want to know. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, me and you have similar issues. Why? Why you just want to do school because you enjoy it? I know it's weird. It's very weird. I mean, for me to say I enjoy school because I am not your conventional student. I'm not the conventional. I'm not the type that learn from the class. Unfortunately, I only go to class to see what I have to read. So I like school because it's nice doing it. Else, there's no need for me to say I want to do a PhD. So in your case, you are going to, yes, you are going to always look for something to do. You might end up doing a PhD, and maybe after a PhD, do a postdoc, and after that, be a professor, whatever. But that's the way academia progresses. So let's say we've established your love for school. Stick with it. What I'll tell you every day, like, do what you like, except if that's in zoology, because I don't know what you're going to get in Nigeria with zoology. But do what you like. Do what you like, because like you can see me mainly. I have the passion for robotics. You see me loving it because from day one I've loved computing. I've loved controlling things, like feel like a god, da da da, and all of that. So you do what you like, but not to digress so much. Then you have another skill that is different, which is video editing. The same way I have another skill that is different, which is business management. And weirdly enough, I registered for an MBA twice. There's no manual to life, just leave it. Provided you are not dying. So I enjoy business. I've started up like 7 different businesses. Few have succeeded, few, but the ones that succeeded really well. I enjoy business a lot. Now that this is something completely different from robotics, and I might say this pays me more than robotics, but but robotics is about what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing robotics. Now, my own case is even that I have multiple things. I'm also a video editor. I started life as a video editor. No, I started as a graphics, and then somehow you go into video editing because it's a very, very gradual descent, and it's nice, it's okay. But then I switched. I went to other things like you be over the places, da 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 da. Good. But at the end of the day, ensure that you are doing, like, you're not doing so much that you're not succeeding in any of all these things, because there's a dilemma you face. I know somebody say jack of all trade, master of none, but not lie, blood, not lie. You can do a lot of things, and if you put in enough time into all of them, you can be good at almost all of them, like master of almost all of them. It's just that you can lose your life in the process. You cannot have a social life. But I mean, who cares about going to party? You cannot
I
have.
found out that that quote is half quotes. It's not complete. It's
Yeah,
not.
so they say.
There is a
They
part
say
that supports us, the jack of all trades.
yes, yes. So they say. They say the quote is not complete. The quote is half quote. I don't know which exactly is the
Yes.
propaganda. I care less about the philosophy, but let's assume what the general public knows. It might be incorrect. It might be right. Now, when you say this question is a question of source of truth. I don't know if it was the jack of all trades that decided to add that other part to it. Somebody said it's a poem, but then the issue now we are facing is, what's the source of truth of the quotes? I think I made a research one time, a very lazy research. It was just two Google search, and I was tired of it because it's not something I like. And there's no real. Everyone knows the first line. No one knows the ending of the. Okay, yes, fine, good. That's the idea. But you get my point. Let's not digress into poetry or whatever. But I know that there is a longer part of the poem, but that's not what everybody knows. So okay. So another one, how can you relate all of them? Oh, we're tough, because video editing is on one far end, robotics on another far end. Software is closer to the robotics because it's all that. And maybe if you find more talents, again, all how is that saying? All knowledge are connected. The beauty is in making the connections. Now that's a very powerful thing. So maybe area robotics just combined it. Live gas day. So although it has to be a very specific case, maybe you are doing you want to do okay, you work in a robotic team, you worked on the software side, so that kills your software and your robotics. And then you guys need to do a demo, and not actual the robot demo. There are sometimes we do just simulations, and you need to like edit the videos. But then most times we just get another video editor that does that. But since you can edit the video, extra for you. But this is not a direct relationship. It's not a direct connection of knowledge. It's just an opportunity that was presented for you to edit the video. It is not compulsory, you must link everything together. But it's very possible to link video editing, because the skills for video editing is quite similar to the skills in Blender. Because although Blender, you can use Blender for video editing. It's an overkill, but it's doable. So I used Blender for video editing, and I also use Blender for simulations, for not simulations, for visualizations, because I'm not really doing simulation. I'm just visualizing the robot and all of that. So it's a skill that somehow intertwines. It's like a distant cousin. So yeah. Also, you need to know that at some point in your life, one of these skills will suffer, because something urgent might come up. You might have some other demands. One might demand more than the other. So you should need to know which are you willing to sacrifice at what point in time. There was a point in time that I I I literally stopped all progress in business or in my startup or in anything. I literally stopped everything because I needed to pass my exam. That was in December. I needed to pass my exams. I had shifted a lot of my reading to December. So at that point in time, I was purely a student. I wasn't doing anything in robotics. I had I had 2 weeks to read for my exams for the other 2 weeks because I've spent the whole semester doing things that I like. So now I have to stay, I have to pass, I have to get good grades so I can remain in Europe. So at some point there'll be trade-offs. But the good thing about doing what you like is after that trade-off, it's easy to bounce back because you're not looking at the stress of I'm going back to this thing again. You get. So in your case, I think you've already streamlined it. And from what you said, is either you finished your is either you have 2 degrees or you have a degree and a master's, or maybe even a PhD. I mean, depends on how much you're sharing. So you have everything pretty figured out. Now it's about locking in your mindset, right? There are some people in the group that we've talked about and they don't have things figured out. But at least you have things figured out and you've been doing it for a while now. You know what you like, you know what you want to continue doing, and your skills are not, your thoughts are not scattered all over the place. So it's about saying, okay, this is what I'm doing. These are the 3 things I'm doing. Let's build a fence over it. And know that, okay, let's focus on these things and grow with it. So that's pretty much it. I will merge mine. You'll find the way. Yeah, all knowledge are connected. The beauty is in finding the connections. Okay, now the last person's hand that is up. Okay, not the last person. Samuel, how far?
Good evening. My question is about Erasmus. So
I
on the website, on the program's website, it said I noticed that some programs usually have a start date and an end date. So for IFROS now, it's ending in 2026 around October. So my question is, do you think there'll be a new program for robotics?
There will always be a program for robotics, 100%. There always, like, it's something I have I have seen the budgets for Spain. For some reasons, I love politics. I love international politics. That's also another weird thing that I do. I have seen the budgets for Spain. I've seen the budgets for Netherlands. Netherlands cut their budgets by 5%, which is a lot of money, but still maintained funding for robotics. There are some things that will not just cut. Department of Mathematics can take a cut. I mean, that's how they treat mathematics. But like robotics, nah, because these things have good value. Italy increased the spending for medical robotics. They increased spending on that, despite their crippling workforce, because they had some issues with protests, with workforce and all of that. France, on the other hand, will still see to sponsoring of robotics, regardless of its instability. So this is the thing. Robotics is something that is like, it's trending. I don't know how long the hype is going to be, but it looks like it's going to be for a long time. So yes, there's still going to be one after 2026. I don't know when MRI is ending. MRI received another funding, right? My program is ending this year. I'm the last like we're the last batch. But the way it works is the program are like independent from the funding body. The program can still apply for funding and then they can get accepted or rejected. So if IFROS applies for funding, I'm pretty sure they are going to get funding again to continue. Reason being that there are like a lot of good people from IFROS. Danjuma, for example, she has done pretty well in a couple of competitions. And how these competitions work is your this thing is tied to it, like your university is tied to it. The same way the ones that I did in Greece, universities are tied to it. So we've had good people come from that side. So yeah, they'll still be funding for robotics, even if not from IFROS, but there's another one. There are a lot of them. I think there are like 5 programs for robotics, which is a lot because most disciplines have at most 3, but there are 5 different programs. So yeah, that answers the question. Basit, my guy, Alpha, your hands is up.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
So my question is that I actually noticed something lately that it's easier to get robotic software job than hardware jobs. Am I right?
Yeah, and there's a reason why. There's a good reason why.
Please, I need you to really explain some things to me on that part. Also, the main thing is, what are the things you focus on your robotic stuffs that made you able to market it within 11 months?
Okay, okay. I'll start from what is easier to explain. Market is the word you used.
Yes.
Marketing was easy. I just posted anything I did. I was posting every day. So meaning I was working every day, which was actually the truth. I was working every day, so I was posting every day, which is for 11 months, it's a mad amount of consistency, actually. So, how do I put it? Marketing is just I didn't do it intentionally for marketing, right? I didn't do it for marketing. Intentionally, I was doing it to keep track. Like I explained in the Git class, like I go back to my previous post and I see what I've done, how far I've come. So that's why I was doing it. I wasn't doing it for marketing. But something unexpected happened. Probably I knew it was going to happen, but regardless, so many people liked what I was doing. So my followers started increasing. And then I left from like 3,000 to 10,000 in 11 months, 10,000 followers. So it's not like I said, hey, I'm doing robotics, repost. No, it's not really like that. I was basically actually doing robotics and posting about it. I spin my first node, I write it. I just wrote my node. The first time I used nav2, I wrote it. The first time I used Docker, I wrote about it. Just the same thing that TC is doing. That's why like I encourage it, but it's difficult to write and not just write because LinkedIn is this kind of funny place. LinkedIn, Twitter, everybody is out to eat you. So if you write with AI, like one hyphen, that one M dash that you see, everybody's pressing your neck, AI, and they like it's not authentic, whatever. So whatever you do, be as authentic as possible and just write about it. So that's actually how I did it. I didn't know I had. So like when you talk about marketing, I say, although I have good marketing strategies because I did an MBA, so you get to learn things, but this particular one I wasn't doing it for marketing. I never even saw myself really doing something like this, like organizing something like this and getting a lot of people is is good marketing, but I didn't necessarily intentionally say I want to market. As a matter of fact, I was aiming for like I was praying for 24 people. Like I wish I can get like 24 people, right? I didn't expect I was going to get like something or something like that. So yeah, it's all good. Now the second one is, bro, my brain just gave up on me. My brain. Oh yeah, yes, hardware. No, hardware and software. My
Yeah.
my brain is just tired. It's not bad. Okay, hardware and software is, think of it this way. If we're talking of remote jobs, are you talking of remote jobs or in general? Okay, let me just answer. Which
Yes,
are you talking
remote
of?
job. Remote.
Okay, good. Remote jobs. Even in general, I can still answer for that. But now for remote jobs, they want you to let's take this robot for example. The company wants you to do this, and the hardware part is to actually do this. This company is in US. After you do the hardware, how would you get it over to them? That's usually one problem. Secondly, they don't expect you to pay for the parts. So it's either they will ship the parts to you or they give you money to buy the parts. I believe you are seeing the problem, why it's difficult to do hardware remotes. I've done hardware remotes, but this is how it happened. They paid for the parts and they shipped it to me. I messed around with it. I worked on it because you would first do the design and how everything flows. I worked on it, and when it was done, I was thinking the idea would be to ship it back to them. But they're like, no, the cost of shipping it back is like, and then they have to wait. So since I have what works exactly, that means like I have the product, so I can do a proper documentation on it. So it was the documentation and the schematics and everything that I now sent over, and they replicated it. But an NVIDIA Jetson is 1,500 euros. That is 3 million. Nobody is giving you an NVIDIA Jetson and say, build it, finish, and then send us documentation and we'll do it on our side. No, it is too expensive. And what if it's a remote job? What if they ship expensive parts to you and then you vanish? These are concerns. So this is why hardware is difficult to do remotely. But for software, I don't need much. I just need a laptop. Literally, I just need a laptop and the strength to stare at the screen for hours. So that way, software is pretty easy. And the way software works is the hardware can be 8,000 kilometers away from me. All I need to do is just to SSH into the terminal, and I can have a camera feed, because the way we did it on one other project, they had like a camera. They had cameras in like around the hardware, right? It was a humanoid, and I can see the feed, right? I can see what's going on nearly in real time. I'm logged into the terminal via SSH. I can literally send commands on my side and see what happens. So once you've set up this kind of nice pipeline, working remote is dope. But for hardware, I've explained the issues with it. Not to mention, you need a lab too, because you need to solder, so you need everything set up. Now let's say remote aside, why is hardware more difficult to get? This is why. Somebody is saying, did you ever learn in-depth aspects of embedded systems? Let me use that to kill two stones. In-depth has levels, oh. And I know some people would feel I have in-depth knowledge of robotics, but I don't consider myself to have in-depth knowledge. So even for the software engineering that you think I have in-depth, I don't consider myself to have in-depth. Now I can be the embedded. So even if I know things about embedded, I'm not really going to say in-depth, because you can always go deeper. What I can say is I know sufficiently enough to take on certain advanced jobs. So what happens is, after the job, I'll find out that after the job, I will still learn more, right? So it's not like, oh, I know like in depth. I really don't know how to quantify in depth. So now, the problem with having in-depth knowledge, which also links to getting jobs, if they tell you this job is about so board, in order to understand that board intricately, it means you must have worked on the board. But in order to work on the board, you must have had access to the board. It's either you must have paid for the board or somehow gotten the board. This is where the problem is. If you are asked for this robotic software job, we need ROS in Python, or we need ROS in C++, or we need ROD in Rust, or whatever language, you don't actually have to pay. You don't have to pay to buy the things. You just need time. For hardware, you need the money and the time. So imagine you go to one useless school. You say you did hardware or mechatronics, and you never actually used hardware, which is a very possible dilemma. Or you did hardware and the only thing you did was Arduino. Area go laugh you. Because now when you apply for jobs, nobody's going to say this job needs Arduino. Arduino is not used for anything reasonable. It's just like to start learning. So you would have to have experience with the actual hardware. That's where the problem is. Meaning you must have bought a lot of hardware. Now, in my case, yes, I bought a lot of hardware. Like a lot of hardware. I enjoy buying hardwares because that's the only way I actually learn with the hardware. So it's easier to get the robotics job because all you need is time and enough projects. In contrast with hardware, where all you need is you need the time, you need money because you need to have prior knowledge about the board. Yeah, and hardware is funny. It's difficult to lie. What do I mean by lie? There are certain things that I don't know on that stack. Like when you list, know how to use nav2, know how to use something. There are certain things that this is the first time I'm seeing it. But I understand that it's programming, and if it's programming, leave it for me. So I will just write my cover letter to that I know what you want to hear, and then I learn on the job. It happens every fucking time. But for hardware, it's difficult to do that because for hardware, you don't know it, you don't know it. Oh. I mean, there's a pattern. Read the data sheet. There's a pattern to it. Actually, everything has patterns. There's a pattern to it, but its pattern is a bit more tied to the particular aspect. Like, you get some experience you will get on certain boards or on certain architectures that you just have to pass through that to experience it. So it's a bit more difficult. And to be good in software, what are the things to focus on? The software now. I don't know the software. The thing is, you cannot be good in every aspect of software. There are some softwares that are in demand. ROS2 is in demand. I get like tons of ROS2 jobs, like just pops up. Like you can't keep up with everything. So ROS2 is in demand. ROS2 with C++. Python is used. It's popular, mostly for prototyping. ROS2 with C++. ROS2 with Rust. That's also another weird thing. ROS2 with JavaScript. I don't know the person that decided to do that, but for some reasons we have that now. So that now let's keep Rust aside. What else do you need to know? Some certain where the problem gets tricky for software is SDKs. That's where the problem gets really tricky for software, because if you've never used an SDK before, like learning it now, like NVIDIA has their Jetson SDK, Meta has their SDK. SDKs are like let's say we can say they're like the boards, because these ones now are extremely tailored to the manufacturers. So if you're taking a job that you've never used the SDK, you've never used it before, be very ready to run mad somewhere. The documentation is always there, but documentation will follow. I've run mad before. NVIDIA, they are very terrible at documenting. Like a company that big, I dragged them one time, but again, I don't have weight to drag them. Who am I? So people just reacted to the post and laughed. But if you are to work with SDKs, they'll ask you, have you worked with it before? And then if you say yes, they can now ask you a question so tailored to that SDK that you must have worked with it before. So you get one of the experiences I've had is OpenArm. They have their own SDK and everything for the robot and all of that. SDK is software development kit. I mean, I assume you know that. So they asked me a question. I told them I had worked with it. They asked me a question so specific, and that question I only knew the answer because I ran into the problem, and I was the one that opened the issue on OpenArm's official repository. So like that was so specific, and I had to like I just went that was a lucky stuff for me. I just went over to the repository on the interview. I copied the link, sent it to them. I was like, oh, I was one that opened that I was one that opened that issue actually. So at times you would have to use it to get it, like to actually get it. So yeah, it's not like software jobs are easier to get to. There are people that would rather play around with hardware than sit down to learn new stack or new technologies or new, and hardware is okay. Since how many years that Arduino has been making chips? This is the first time they are doing single board computers. Matter of fact, is extremely this to me. I find it very, 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 very bad because that took ages. Right? So to me, hardware progresses very, very slow. Not even to me, self, hardware progresses slow. Like progresses slow. The difference between a generation of CPU, like the difference between i7, i9, like those successes, that i7, i9 of the same generation, it's not usually that much high. But software moves very fast. Like software develops extremely fast. So if you're on software, you have to be consistently keeping up, and it's draining. So everything have their ups and their downs. Alpha Basis, what's up again? Alpha Basis, raise your hand. Okay, so I would assume Samuel, Blender is not used for robotics. So like it's not like gazebo. You know, when you say gazebo, the first that comes to mind is robotics. Gazebo is technically a physics engine simulator, or it's a simulator that you can use different physics engines, because you can use different physics engines with gazebo. Blender is
Network,
not really for
oh, my
robotics, but
village people are there. Oh, my village.
I know the Blender is not like, hey, but I use Blender because I've already used. I was painting a picture for Tracy where I did video editing, and because of video editing, I landed in Blender. And then when I'm doing robotics, I occasionally use Blender because I learned from video editing, so I use Blenders to when I want to convert. Most times when I want to convert an STL to DAE, I prefer using Blender because I'm conversant with Blender. I know how to set the moment of inertias. I know how to do all these many things in Blender because I did software editing. You can do it with other softwares, FreeCAD, SolidWorks, basically any software. But Blender is not the go-to. Blender is not the go-to. I don't see a case where you say you want to do robotics and then you go and install Blender. Hardware is frustrating, though. Sorry, no. You see hardware. When you talk about hardware robotics, is it no? Some people think of hardware as you connect pin and you do this. No, nah, more hardware tough fast like that too. The main problem in hardware is when you have to actually design boards, because most robots would use custom PCBs. When you have to do things like power management, you hardware tough. Oh. If it's just connecting boards by Arduino, connect this, or by Raspberry Pi, connect this, connect that, connect. I mean, just watch a YouTube video now. Is life not easier that way? But when it comes to hardware, and you're like, you have to, okay. Now there was something that happened in one team that I was working with, and in that moment I just shaken for the hardware engineer. We've gone significantly far. He has made his designs, he has made his prototype, he has made implementations, he has done PCBs, he has done many things. When in one of the demo to one of the prospective clients, they don't send the product manager, or they don't send and work. Product manager go talk say, the charging of the robot, let's do it with wireless. Like that kind of way one pitch idea. Like you want appease clients now. Don't talk, say you want to make them wireless. And the client was not like, nice, I would like that, I would like that. Whereas we have already agreed it's going to be connected to this thing. I was in class. I didn't attend that meeting. I was in class. I was like in this not school class, like teaching you guys. I didn't attend it. Only for me to come back and see many cry for my DM. Well, so they don't change charging to wireless. Like, this is not a case where you will now go and buy this, buy that, and just connect it together. This changes everything, because the hardware guy now has to do custom power management for that. Probably has not worked with wireless before. He has to now think of things like that. And I really appreciate guys that go in depth in hardware. I told you guys one time that I met an embedded engineer in Netherlands, and I went to go and remove embedded from my CV. I mean, the only place you see it is probably on my Upwork when I'm trying to attract jobs and all of that. But like, On my CV, you know, go see say I be an embedded engineer. Ah, and it's not inferiority complex. It's giving respect to whom respect is due. It's not inferiority complex because I do it, but I know say men they do the same way. The hardware guy that I spoke with, that guy swear he say lie you know fit they do software. He say software hard, software see that guy can he hates software with his life, right? But again, you know that embedded, they need to learn some bare metal programming. So they know some bit of software. There is no embedded guy that doesn't know how to write C or one kind of weird low level language like that. But on the higher level, it's a whole different game. So you get. So they are all as difficult. None is the more difficult than the other. But because I do one that appeals more to me, doesn't mean I should like say, oh, this one is more difficult. Nobody's taking an award for which is more difficult. Okay, what have I missed in the comment section? Did I ever learn in depth? No. Did I learn in depth? I don't consider myself to learn in depth, but I know well enough to make good money from it, and that's all that matters for me. And to be good in software, which I focus on. Okay, I've thought that. Man, to be very honest, hardware is frustrating. So in essence, it's not a must to be good in low level before pivoting into robotics. No. Person don't go rush. Now they see analog and design I see FPGA. The first time I did FPGA, I was like, what in the world is this? Because I'm coming from like this high level place, and then I'm coming down and you're telling me I have to write every stop, use a Python script to write my wait command or to write sleep or something. It's a different world. ASCI, test bench setup. See, it's a whole world for those guys. So out of the things this guy listed, I only have like experience in two, which is the analog design and then FPGA. But like I must have dabbled in some other things, but no. And another thing that vexed me was when I wanted to like when I wanted to set up my lab for software. I was in my laptop now. Laptop mounts are they comfortable. But when I wanted to go into hardware, I saw this crazy guy that was like on YouTube was like recommending, oh, if you want to go into hardware, you need to get an oscilloscope, and you know, if you want to do it properly for signal processing, many things. I felt very hype as I enter Amazon, say Alpha, I find oscilloscope. The way I ran back, see how much for that thing. Nah, you see how much for. So I was like, my money baby still know. So the only time I buy hardware is like when I say I don't cash out. I say, okay, yes, I can like sacrifice small. And the only reason I'm doing hardware is so that there is not going to be a case where I'll say, I wish I had known. I wish I knew hardware. See this thing now for don't. I hate missing opportunities that are like closely aligned to things I do. So you get. So yeah, you have to invest in yourself if you're doing hardware. Okay. Like I need to calm down and accept my reality. That's one thing. Oh, I feel people should not be. What's that called? Droning Kruger effect. Is it Droning Kruger effect? You think you know it? Your confidence high. Like sometimes you need to calm down and actually your understand your situation. Say, on I be you know really sabi. And that to me, that's like one of the first step of intelligence, because if you overestimate yourself, the day you go enter gutter, it will shock you. Sure you get the day you feel too high that okay, you know all these things. You think you know it, and your brain does a good job in deceiving you. And then you think down, you know, everybody don't set now. You guys defend yourself because you say, oh, you know, if you defend yourself, so you know they claim with you, you know, be. Do you use MATLAB or Simulink over my dead bodies? Simulink is not GUI. They draw line, they put box, they do what. I said I hate GUI in my life. I know how to use it. I've only gotten one job on Simulink, and I did that job with so much agony. I mean, I did a good job at the end of the day, but I was like, lie. Now, for MATLAB, now understand that most of the jobs I get are industry related. MATLAB is more like for academic research than RVIT. Now, RVIT, you're not modeling in RVIT now. What I mean by HGUI is like for RVIT, you write the URDF. You are not extruding, you're not extruding, you're not 3D revolving, nothing concern you with. Sure, you get me? So RVIT is to see, it's to visualize. I'm not modeling in RVIT. What I hate precisely is all of that. Like I hate having to do programming in those GUI programmings now. You put blocks together. You do no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying. And RVIT is run by your URDF, and your URDF at the end of the day is still like a pretty XML file. But there are some packages that you build the URDF from the model, like for people that like plug and place and pick and place, whatever it is, plug and play. So they just arrange the stuff and it generates the URDF for you. The problem with that is you lose control, and I like control, absolute control. That's what I mean. So do I use MATLAB? Most of these gigs, I remember when I first started writing, when I first started doing robotics, the first thing I was introduced to was MATLAB. Why? It's easy to use. So one particular research lab that I beg to accept me, because now I beg, I didn't really deserve that particular one. So they accepted me. So I was working with them for free. That's one thing you need to know, just for free. So they now asked me that I should work on inverse kinematics. I should implement inverse kinematics for a 12 degree of freedom robot. So I said, cool, no problem. Most robots are like 6 degree of freedom, 5 degree of freedom. So like you get the complexity involved. So I went and I did it with MATLAB. I did it with there's this how do MATLAB call it? Library or so. Yeah, I think so. So they had something like that. It was pretty nice. So I submitted it in MATLAB. And this research lab, they work for industry. It's all these research labs that like attached to an industry. So I submitted in MATLAB, and they're like, who is this guy? Like, are you all right? And the first thing they said was, before this one computes the inverse kinematics, waiting one spoil for don't spoil. Like it will take too much time to do it. Of course, we all know that MATLAB is slower than other alternatives that are available. But surprisingly, MATLAB is faster than Python in theory. So, however, that was how my MATLAB journey ended. So if you want to prototype something real quick, MATLAB is your go-to. If you are doing academic, MATLAB is your go-to. There are some industries that use MATLAB. I don't know about that. I don't have enough. But what I know is when they want to apply MATLAB kind of things to industry, they strip off a lot of overheads. Like MATLAB is like too heavy, so they strip off like if you've used AMSIM, which is for Siemens, that's like their MATLAB that they use that one in their industry. It's like a very, very light version of MATLAB. They basically just stripped off a lot of functionalities, but it looks like MATLAB. So the idea is speed. So you might need lightweight in industry. Can ROS replace MATLAB for control design and simulations, since ROS may be more desired for industry? Well, there are a lot of assumptions that have been made in this statement. First of all, for almost everything that needs to be controlled, ROS can do it, because ROS does not even have it. Right, you can't compare ROS to MATLAB now. MATLAB does not have the support that ROS have. So for almost now, first now check most sensors, most actuators, like I'm talking even Intel Intel Sense, I think that's what they call it. But most hardware that come outside must, like it's almost a must to have ROS support. Now so Meta do their glove, they put ROS support. But really you see something that will come out and put MATLAB support. How many people uses MATLAB? MATLAB that is how many euros per month? How expensive MATLAB is. So it's like it's streamlined. So ROS is free now. Sudo apt updates, sudo apt install, ROS humble desktop. Everywhere don't come board. So these are things you look at, right? There was somebody, the CTO of Botronics, made one statement one day that releasing a hardware that cannot be controlled by ROS or has no ROS support is just killing your company. Like, because now almost everybody wants to use ROS. So, and there's a good reason why. Okay, that's beside the point. You can't compare ROS to MATLAB when it comes to control. For robotic things, though, you get for like plant simulation, I don't see where ROS is used as for plant simulation. It's like, well, you can't compare MATLAB. MATLAB that can simulate plants, simulate structures, simulate. No, I give MATLAB their this thing. MATLAB can do signal processing. ROS is not for that. Now it's like different things. So you won't take MATLAB out of its comfort zone to compete with another thing in its own comfort zone. Now IMU, inertial measurement unit. Listen to IMU. Okay, mistake. Like I said, this IMU really get your mind, though. Like, but it's off. So, but MATLAB can simulate anything. Sanobo. Just be able to think of the math behind it. MATLAB don't do them. And MATLAB they took their time to get engineers, researchers, scientists in so many fields. So many fields, guys. So you don't compare it. I mean, ROS is just one side now. So even funny enough, MATLAB has support for ROS. I'll tell you as the story today. MATLAB has support for ROS. Where you can use like ROS within MATLAB. There's how the pipeline goes. I've never tried it, but I know it's possible. She gets, but it's not just popular because I mean I don't know. So that's that. In all I have said, thank you for today, boss. Today's session past self-help and personal development books. Oh yeah, all those self-help books. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if there's anything for me, or we can call it a day. So yeah, in all I have said, I think I probably must have said something that people do not agree with. There is actually no, I mean, anybody can be wrong for anything. So if at any point in time you feel, oh, something is not consistent or is not probably true with something, just feel free to drag me the way this came to drag me for corresponding angles. All right, so I believe we can end the session now, right? Okay, Oni, what's up? I think there's one more, like the last person. Okay, Oni, what's up? Speak to me. You asked the question. I think I skipped that question. You asked about internship. Is that why I raised your hand?
Yes, actually. And some
You asked
other
about
things
internship.
that you mentioned.
Talk. Just speak to me. Speak to me. Let me hear. Let me hear your answer.
Okay, the first question was, yeah, you said earlier in your, I believe in the first class, about an internship or working under Aurora Robotics. I'd like to like clarify that if that was still a thing.
It's still a thing, but it's not something that I think somebody discussed about opening an application and letting people apply. It's not something that I want to like open an application and do. Something that I usually hand pick and then send the offer. Like a lot goes into working rather than just intelligence. And on this, like you come in contact with a lot of people with first class, but like there's so much more to working. Like for me, for me. So it's a thing, but it's not like I'm going to say, hey, it's open, come and apply. There's also something else that somebody was offering. There are some companies that do paid, like you pay to do internship with them, which to me is still crazy till now. But I've had people offer that, oh hey, they want to actually pay to do internship because they just like what they see, they like the whole thing and how everything is going. I have still not I have still not made a decision on that if I want that because it's not the pay that is the thing. Every intern that you do take on is a possible. I don't use the word burden. I don't use the word burden because burden is more like unwanted, but it's like it's a responsibility, right? I feel it's a responsibility for the 4 people that currently intern directly. It's my responsibility to ensure that they're actually learning, they're actually doing the best. Like I know everything that needs to be known about them, that kind of thing. So I prefer to award it to people that okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, in terms of the thing, one thing that is confirmed is I would definitely offer people internship. That's one thing that is confirmed. Another thing that is a possibility is to another thing is a possibility is that you can pay to get the internship. But again, I don't even know. I'm doing it for fun, so I don't even know how much you're even going to pay. Now, the people doing the internship, some are paid, some people are paid, some people are not paid. Some people just want to volunteer, like, hey, okay, yeah, I'm fine with doing it without any pay, it's okay. While some other people will want to be paid. Now, the difference is if you are being paid, expect maximum like workload. I mean, not work to failure, like not so much work. Basically, it's like it's, but like for people that are like doing it free, man. I mean, I see it as I'm not paying you, and if you are a serious person, you should put in your best to get the best out of this limited time that you have with us. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's going to be an internship, but right now the only thing that is confirmed is the internships that I would offer. Other people also just come and meet me personally in DM that they want an internship, right? But I try to like gauge how serious you are because so many people start things that they don't finish, and that's not how we roll here. If you start something and try to finish it, long story, long story, long story. But yeah, that's just my thought process. That's just my thought process. All right. So yeah, I was thinking of if because at the end of today, sorry, at the end of this whole program, this program is ending in like 3 weeks time or 4 weeks roughly. So at the end of the whole program, right? I'm thinking of if there's like a lot of offer for internship, I could just as well just spin off like an internship program, like a longer one where we just do something similar again. And since there are a lot of people that are willing to do it, we could just like build on it, right? We could just do it like that. But like there'll be terms and then there'll be conditions and things like that. So yeah, those are the different options that are on ground. So Yeah. That's calm. That's dope. However, okay. So we are done. That's the last question I just took. There is no other question. If you have any other question, then probably DM. Also, these sessions actually happen because sufficient number of people reach out, right? So like once the number gets to like 3, 4, 5, I say okay, yeah, then let's host the class. This is the second of this type of class, and then other ones would also follow as per demand. So